Hello there and welcome back. Welcome to another Raspberry Pi Saturdays. So, currently I have my repurposed cluster.dns.net, and this serves as kind of an inventory to my Raspberry Pis. But I remember that there is an ansible-cmdb package for Python which I could utilize to use as like a static inventory, which would give me details about the Raspberry Pis. So I'm going to show you in this video how you can set it up. So currently I'm logged into my Ansible machine, and we are going to do two things. The first one is to set up a virtual environment where we can install the necessary modules and then use that virtual environment to collect the static inventory. And basically this static inventory will come from the ansible-m setup all output. Because currently I have Ansible set up that allows me to communicate with my Raspberry Pis. So this Ansible is also supported by Mitogen or Mitogen. It's an Ansible module, Mitogen for Ansible, and it's basically going to allow you to speed up your connection against the Linux systems when you use it. It's basically a download a .gz file and modify the ansible.cfg, but that's not why we are here. So technically what we want to do first is to create our directory structure. So sudo su, and we create a directory under the var www.html, and we are going to call this CMDB. This is where the generated static file will go to, or the index.html. And we also have to create under the etc Apache sites enabled and 003 cmdb.conf. So this is going to be basically a very simple virtual host. And I forgot I should not use vi, but rather nano. So how will it look like? We will have the virtual host, and this virtual host will respond on the port 80. And let's close this virtual host tag. And here we will have the document root under the var www.html cmdb. And we also want to have the server name, which is rpi, and the alias is going to be rpi. So if the Apache configuration is correct, I should be able to add under the etc var www.html cmdb an index.html, and between h1 tags, welcome to CMDB. This is just to verify whether it's working properly. We have to use the systemctl reload Apache2 and journal ctl -fu Apache2, and alias has because that's not an alias but server alias. All right, so now let's try to reload Apache. It's working, and if I go back here and use my http rpi, you can see that it is able to serve the static site. The next thing that we want to do is to navigate under the etc ansible folder, and here we are going to create a couple of things. So the first thing is going to be the directory, which is cmdb out, and we are going to have a virtual environment called cmdb, And after the CMDB virtual environment is activated, we can pip install ansible-cmdb if it goes well. And it went well. So now what we have to do is to create our small script. And by the way, I have prepared our cron tab. And this is going to run the script every hour so that it refreshes the content. And it will also have a small log file. Good. So the next thing that we want to do is to create our refresh cmdb.sh, because this is what was in the cron tab. And we need the hashtag !user bin bash. And first we want to clear out the etc ansible-cmdb out folder. Then what we can do is to issue the ansible-m setup all, and we have to pass the tree, and this tree will point to the etc ansible-cmdb out. So far so good. So now if I save it, what should happen is the chmod plus x refresh cmdb and then refresh cmdb.sh. Since the folder is empty, it will not be able to remove it, but we should make peace with that. And once the ansible setup command completes, the cmdb out folder should be populated with information that was gathered from the Raspberry Pi machines. And after that, we have to activate the virtual environment, generate the appropriate output, and move it to the Apache folder and change the permissions, and we are ready. So now, if we check the CMDB out, you can see that this is the information that the ansible-m setup collected. So let's continue with the refresh CMDB. So here, what we want to do is to source the etc ansible-cmdb bin activate. And then what we want to do is to call the ansible-cmdb with the etc ansible-cmdb out. This is the input folder, and the output file will go to the etc ansible, and we call this overview.html. So now we have the HTML file which represents the data that was collected, and it is going to look something like this. So now what we can do is to use the sudo move etc ansible overview.html to the var www.html-cmdb index.html. And finally, the chown root, and we will pass the -r to the var www.html-cmdb folder. Good. So now, if we run our refresh CMDB, as you can see, it didn't pop an error because it was able to remove the files from the CMDB out folder. Now it is going to regenerate that file and then activate the virtual environment, generate the overview.html, and move it to the right place and change the permissions. And after the process completes, we can go back to the browser, hit refresh, and see our CMDB. Okay. So now, just to verify, under the var www.html-cmdb, we have our index.html, And if you check the content, this is what was generated by ansible-cmdb. And if I go here and reopen the close window and reload it, I have my inventory. And due to the way the cron tab is set up, it will be refreshed every hour. And just to verify whether this works or not, we can copy paste this command. And as you can see, everything will go to the CMDB logs as for the output. So I am able to troubleshoot if it was unable to refresh. But apart from that, now I have the inventory of my Raspberry Pi. So I have plans for a future video about an open FAAS cluster, but I will have to check because I have read that for the Pi Hut we have the, I think, the 02W. Where is it? Boards and 02W, and this is the newer board, and this is the only board which supports or which is supported by OpenFAS or K3S. We will see. So going back here, you can see that it was able to collect, I think, most of the information that by default it is supposed to collect. And we have swap usage, disk usage, and we even have the timestamp. So let's check the cmdb.logs, and there we go. So this is how you can create like a small static site which is able to provide you information about your Raspberry Pis with the help of Ansible. And I think it's kind of a neat solution. You also have the possibility to extend the facts which are gathered. So you can either manually add given facts to given devices, or you can create scripts which in turn collect information from the systems. But that's up to you. So I think if I don't forget it, everything will be in the description of the video, but that was all for now. See you in the next one.